All good?
All
Yeah,
good.
all good.
Okay, welcome guys to our Frontline to Fairway. I think it's the season two now. A few of the people from OCF they asked me to uh, do this again, so I'm just starting again. 2025. So I'm gonna today we got two members OCF beneficiary as guests as well. Neil Flynn and Steve Cross with us. We're gonna share our share their story with OCF and about the injury and about their background, army background, and how they're using the golf tool recovering process. So without any delay, I'm gonna start with Flinny. Flinny, if you can, give me your background, army background or anything, yeah, please.
A brief breakdown of army background. I joined the military in 1983. It was a bit of a it was on a whim, I'll be honest with you. I was supposed to have an apprenticeship interview to be a mechanic.
Mm.
And when I went for this interview, no bugger turned up. So I was really annoyed and quite upset about it. So me and my mate decided to go down to Manchester for the day. And walking down Deansgate, saw a big recruiting sergeant outside the old careers office there, and he said, "You two, get in here." And I went in, and he sat us down in front of the TV screen, and I saw the household cavalry up on the screen, uh, the ceremonial on the armoured side, and I said, "I want to do that," and that was it. So in 1983, I signed up as a boy soldier at the age of 16. Took the papers home to your mum and dad. They had to sign them, of course, because I was only 16. And we started, went down to Purbright on the 6th of September 1983. Back in them days, it was 12-month basic training. And I remember we started off with about 90 recruits, but there was only like 20 passed out because
Whoa.
it was 12 months actually. Yeah, it was 12 months of really quite tough training just to be a basic trained soldier. Steve will remember. Yeah, and they basically got rid of anybody who didn't want to. And of course, being a junior soldier, you could phone up your mum and dad and say, "Mum, don't like this anymore, get me out." And it was basically a phone call from them and they could get you home. But
Oh.
I stuck it out, did the 12 months at Purbright, and then after we passed out, they basically split us into two groups. That group was going mounted, that group's going armoured. I didn't ask you, you just told. They're going mounted to the ceremonial, they're going armoured. And I was sent initially to the mounted, the ceremonial side. So we remained at Purbright for another 6 months doing basic riding school. Did that no more. Then you're up to Knightsbridge and you start your ceremonial stuff. And I suppose I spent the next 6, 7 years just on Queen's Life Guard, ceremonial duties, trooping the colours, that sort of stuff. Queen's Life Guard with the daily in and out routine, one off, one off, one on, one off. Quite, but gets a bit monotonous when you do about 30 in a row.
Mm.
Royal weddings, Andrew and Fergie's royal wedding, that was a bit of a highlight. Missed out on Diana and Charles's. And then in 87, I was selected to go and do my instructor's course at Melton Mowbray to teach riding. And this is when I had my accident. 2nd of December 1987, I was riding a horse which belonged to the Queen. We've been asked to invent this horse for the Queen, and that's where my accident happened. It was on a cross-country fence. We basically hit the fence, both of us. I went over her ears. She came over on top of me and crushed me. Uh, results was the broken hip, feet. We're still here to tell the tale, so not too bad. After about 12 months recovery, got back into it, went back and finished the course, and then remained on the riding staff, teaching the new recruits to ride and the new horses to backing and breaking the new horses in. And then about 94, my CEO said to me, if you want to expand your career, you've got to go armoured. So I went armoured. But because I was of a rank, I would have caught the horse. I had to go straight into the commander's seat. And I'm on it. So yes, you do your basic training, you do your driving, your gunnery, and your signals, and then hopefully there's some sort of commander training. But if I'm honest with you, we didn't get a lot. because of my rank, I was just thrown straight into the commander's chair, and it was a bit stressful, I have to say, because because I've just done 11, 12 years of mounted, and now I'm thrown into this bloody tank. And almost immediately after that, we ended up in Bosnia. And I can honestly say, I don't think I was really properly prepared for it.
Mm.
But we managed to cope, and they gave us crew commander status immediately, even though we hadn't done the course down in Lulworth, I think. Is it, Steve? I think it's crew commander's down in Lulworth.
Bovington,
Yeah, I think it might be Lulworth or Bovington, something like that. So I was thrown in the deep end a little bit, and that was a little bit unnerving, but we came through it. And then I spent the rest of my career there in the Armoured Regiment, doing tours of Canada, Norway, where else? All over the bloody place. Obviously Bosnia. On standby for Kosovo, never actually got there, which is a blessing. But I didn't like it. I should have stayed where I was. I should have stayed on the mounted side with the. I think if I'd have been prepared better for the armoured side, I would have enjoyed it more.
Yeah.
But I think it was a fault of the military that they didn't prepare me well enough. They did offer me to go back to Knightsbridge, to go back onto the horses, but I assumed it was with promotion, and they said no. So I basically said that's enough. I've had enough, and that was 17 years or so later. So that was basically my own career. I enjoyed every minute of it. I'd do it all again.
Yeah.
That was it. Finished up a court of horse, tank commander, and horse riding instructor, amongst other things.
Great, Flynn. Always, yeah, it's nice to hear. Actually, it's this because I've been seen and known Neil since 2017, 16. Never heard his story. It's great to hear his army background of it. Yeah.
There are some funny stories came out of the accident, but that's maybe for another time. Actually, one of them
Yeah,
involved.
definitely.
One of them involved the Queen, so we best be careful.
Yeah, thank you, Neil. Thank you very much, mate. Thank you, Flynn. Yeah, Steve, would you like to
Yeah.
talk?
So my story started probably when I was about 10 years old. When I used to live in Maidstone in Kent. My dad was a prison officer there at the prison. And at 10 years old, I joined the Army Cadets in Maidstone. And I got a taste of, the Army or the Junior Army or whatever. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I look forward to going to the Army Cadets every week. We'd do every Wednesday night would be a drill night. The weekends we'd go away on camps, and I just absolutely was hooked, And from the age of about 12, that's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to join the army. And then it was a case of, right, which part of the army do you want to join? So I went down the recruiting office and had a good chat with them in there. And Maidstone was a big engineer town anyway. They've still got the 3-6 engineer down there with the Gurkha engineers attached to them. And funnily enough, having grown up in Maidstone for like 4 or 5 years while my dad was there, I never really encountered the army in terms of the regulars. It was just the cadets. But I ended up opting for the Royal Engineers. Signed up, and on my 16 and a half year birthday, I was just over 16 years old actually. I went down to Dover, got on a train all the way down to Dover to Old Park Barracks, and became a junior leader. And for 12 months, just got basically taught how to conduct yourself properly in the army, and it was brilliant. I absolutely loved it. When I was at Dover, I played lots of sports. My main sport being football, and it was at Dover I was then identified by the team at Dover. Oh, you're getting posted to Germany, and you're going to play football for 2 Amphibious Engineer Regiment, who were at the time in the early 80s. They were the best football team in the British Army. I didn't know this. I just played football. So again, in 1981 to 82 was at Dover. In 1982, I went to Gibraltar Barracks. and I had to do then, I think it was about a 10-week combat engineer training course to give you a tick in the box as a combat engineer. That was while the Falklands was on. And so I'd left, I just finished training as the Falklands kicked off. And I'm thinking, oh, there's a possibility here I could be. But I actually ended up getting sent to Aldershot to guard the barracks that all the paras had left to go to the Falklands. So while the Falklands was kicking off, I was on stag at the barracks in Aldershot, looking after their accommodation. So then went out. So September '82, I went out to Germany, to Hamel, and joined 28 Amphibious Engineer Regiment. And basically, for the next 3 years of my life, I played football. That's all I did. Because in them days, if you were identified as being good at a sport,
Yeah.
the regiments, the units had that much manpower. You know, we had 30 people, 30 people who were footballers, just taken out of work and get told you're on permanent football training. That's all you do.
Just focus on football.
We did that for 3 years.
Yeah.
And because there was that much slack in the system, you know, the numbers out in Germany at that time was just, in fact, if I recall rightly, when I got to Germany in 1982, there was 55,000 troops in Germany. That's nearly as big as the army is now.
Yeah.
55,000 troops sat in Germany because it was a Cold War, and you know that was the era that we was in.
Yeah.
And then for the next 22 and a half, 23 years, I just got on with my career. I mean, I played football up till I was about 32 at sort of core level. And then just been the football. I became a coach and got involved in the coaching side, and started concentrating more on the coaching rather than the playing. But on the other hand, I actually got on with my career as well. I did all the courses that I was told to do, and went up through the ranks. And I got to W01. I was the RSM of the regiment in Germany, and I finished that in 2005. And then they gave me a commission. And again, you know, that's just a bit of luck of the draw. You go away, you get assessed for 3 days, see if you're capable enough. Although they probably know that before you go on the 3-day assessment, and then they say yes or no. And luckily for me, they said, yeah, we'll accept you for a commission. So for the next 15 years, I then became an officer in the Royal Engineers. And I ended up, luckily, I got selected for Lieutenant Colonel. So my final job, they sent me to an E2 post, which is outside of your corps. And I was the CO of the PRU in Germany, looking after wounded, injured soldiers at the Personal Recovery Unit. And it was a great job. I loved it. I went there. I was going to be there for 3 years to finish my career. And it also coincided with the withdrawal from Germany as well. So the end of my career when I hit 55 was 2019, and that was the same time that the withdrawal from Germany was going ahead. So I'd set my sights on my last 3 years in Germany, drawing down the unit, and then coming back to the UK.
Is that just before COVID, isn't it, or just during the COVID?
No. I think COVID was a little bit later. Yeah, COVID was later, I think.
Yeah.
2020 COVID.
2020, isn't it?
Yeah. So, and then after I'd say after 12 months of being at the PRU, I one day I was walking along and I got an itch in my ear, and I put my finger in my ear and pulled my finger out, and it was covered in blood. And I'm like, what's going on here? And I went to the doctors. The doctors said to me, you need to get that looked at a specialist. I got whisked off to the specialist in Bad Lipspringer, and they looked inside my ear and told me I'd got cancer in my ear. And then from then on, it was all Jesus. And I was given the option, whilst I was in Germany, I was given the option by the Commander BFG. the problem was, because of the withdrawal that the army was going through, the medical side had withdrawn as well, and there was only certain things that the military could go to the local German hospital to be treated for. It had all withdrawn, and there was no cancer treatment out in Germany. So the option they gave me was, right, you've got two options. You can stay here, your wife can stay here, and you fly back to UK and get whatever treatment you needed and keep coming backwards and forwards, or you move back to UK. So it was a no-brainer to me. I need to get back there and get this sorted out. So I was then assigned from Semelager as the CO of the PRU. I was then assigned to PRU here in Catterick as a whiz soldier, and I came to Catterick. We got a quarter in Catterick, and then I was on the PRU's books for the next 16 months whilst I got my treatment done at James Cook up in Middlesbrough, James Cook Hospital, which is where they had a specialist cancer centre.
What was the cancer, Steve?
Sorry?
What was the cancer? I've not heard of it in an ear before.
Yeah, it was melanoma.
Oh, okay.
It was melanoma, so they had to cut it out, and in cutting it out, they had to then reconstruct the ear. So they took a slice off my belly, Neil, which there's plenty there, and reconstructed the right ear. Okay. If you look carefully, it looks like I've been playing rugby for a bit.
A little bit, yeah.
It looks a little bit, but I've never played rugby in my life.
And has this affected your hearing then, Steve, long term?
No,
you are quite deaf.
I was deaf long before that, mate. Long before that.
No,
my hearing has gone downhill probably since I was a sergeant, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, and during the time there, I was introduced to Uncourse Foundation, and
I'll come to that.
Sorry,
I'll come to that. Before that, I would like to ask Neil Flynn about his injury. When he got diagnosed, obviously you said about during your career you had a thing, but when did you got diagnosed, or when did you hear, like, your back is really?
It wasn't my back. It was mine was an accident on the. It was cross country.
Okay.
I was eventing a horse which was owned by the Queen at a place called Melton Mowbray, Leicestershire.
Yeah.
And so we hit this. We were jumping these fences, cross country fences, and we hit one. I went over her ear. She landed on me, broken femur, collarbone, sternum, and 6 ribs, and I was basically carted off straight to hospital. But there are some funny stories there, but I'll leave that for another time. Once I got to Leicester Royal Infirmary, once my leg was straightened, I had pins put down my femur, because my femur was broken in 2 places. But I can't do a lot with the collarbone and sternum, that's self-healing, and the same with the ribs. They're just strapped up. But because I had a broken collarbone as well as the femur, I couldn't walk about, hence why they put pins down. So I had pins in my femur. They came out about 12 months later. They actually take the pins out of your femur. I didn't know that at the time. And 12 months later, I got back on the horse. My first official duty was trooping the colour. You become very unfit when you can't use your legs. I was in hospital for overall about 6 months. I remember one story. I was actually in Leicester Royal Infirmary, where they took me to initially, and Colonel Parker Bowles, who was our colonel at the time, he actually came up to hospital to visit me, and he saw the state of this NHS hospital, and said, "I want this man out of here by the end of the day." And by the end of the day, I was in Woolwich military. He basically got me medevac straight down to Woolwich. Well, back in them days, a military hospital Woolwich was amazing. It's like being in a private hospital. It was amazing. And that's where I spent most of my recovery, was at Woolwich military. My parents were brought down to see me and what have you, and my family. So I suppose I was back fully fit again about 18 months later. and then really carried on as normal. But as you get older, it's now you start to realise that you actually start to suffer more from your injuries now than you did at the actual time. Because I was young and fit. I was what, 22, something like that. I was as fit as a butcher's dog. And you recover easy. But now, you know, with the arthritis from the trauma of hips and shoulders and all that, it's actually probably as bad now as actually the accident. But it's nothing which I can't deal with. It's, you know, the odd painkillers here and there and anti-inflammatories and stuff. But it's not bad. Obviously, there's people a lot worse than me. So I was very fortunate. Hey?
It's called age.
It is, yeah.
Oh.
But there was one funny story. The doctor said to me, the guy who was, they were straightening my leg at the time, which is done very, very, there's no, what's the word, finesse in straightening the femur, because I don't know if you've ever seen it, because your femur actually shrinks. So all the bones will come alongside each other. So your kneecap ends up from where it was into about the middle of your femur. Everything just shrinks back up. So they have to straighten that out. Well, basically, they put a strap on your foot and pull as hard as they can.
Whoa.
Yeah, and he said, and when I was crushed, the horse sort of crushed me into the mud. But it was actually the mud that prevented the horse from jumping the fence in the first place. The doctor said to me, he said, if it hadn't been muddy, it'd have killed you. I said, actually, no, Doc. If it hadn't been muddy, you should have jumped the fence. So, it's quite true, actually. Yeah.
So Neil, has that affected your height then?
You say, Steve. By about an inch, yeah. But I was lying in the mud. I'll never forget lying in the mud in a field in the middle of Leicestershire. And my captain at the time was a guy called Captain Dougie McGregor. He was a great guy. He was our riding master. He heard all the commotion. He come galloping down the field, and he was lying in the mud next to me. He had his full, I think he had twos on or something. Lying in the mud next to me. And at the time, I was seeing a young, I hope my wife's not listening, a young female soldier called Sue, and they lived in C Block. So of course, as young soldiers, like we did, Steve, you'd nip over, and you spend a bit of time with Sue. And I remember lying in the mud, and Captain Dougie McGregor said to me, he said, "Well, I can tell you one thing, Errol," he says. So what's that, sir? He said, "You won't be in C Block tonight." It's a true story, yeah.
Oh, great. Yeah, great. Great.
All was good in the end.
Yeah. Oh, great. Oh, okay. I'm gonna come to our best partner, golf. So have you played golf before, Flinny?
Yeah, I started playing golf at Fairway in about '84. When we finished basic training, you found you had a lot more time on your hands. So we said, what we're going to do? And there was a little golf course down near Fairway called Gold Farm. Only a par 3 pitch and putt type thing. And some of the lads said, yeah, should we go try and play some golf? So that's where I started. It was about '84. And I basically carried on since then. I've been a member of quite a few golf clubs. My first golf club was Windsor Castle. Because we've been based in Windsor for quite a bit, I was able to join Windsor Castle, which of course is great. Great privilege, little 9-hole there at Windsor. You've both played it, I think.
Yeah, we used to do,
yeah. So I was a member there, and I think it cost us £50 a year, which was great.
Oh.
But my first big course was the Army Golf Course, a golf club at Aldershot.
Yeah, I played that.
Great golf course, very good golf course. And then when I bought my first house, it was in Bracknell, in Berkshire. And I joined a great little golf course called the Downshire, which is actually a pay and play. But there was a members section as well. And it was voted at the time the best pay and play in the country. It was a great golf course called the Downshire. But you have to be in there early. Back in them days, you have to queue up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get a bloody tea time. It was especially on a pay and play course. And then when I moved back up to Buxton in 2002-ish, I joined Cavendish, actually where I'm still there now. I became captain in 2019, and the lowest handicap I've ever been down to is 3.5. Never got to 3, which is a bit annoying. So just an old golfer now.
You're still a good golfer, mate. Yeah, cheers. Crossy, you did you play golf before?
I,
You used to play sports anyway, football and
yeah, but I didn't start dabbling in golf till late on, and it was the first time I started. I think I was a sergeant major, so it was like what I was. How old was I? 30, about 35, I think, 35, 36. And
40 years back. Yeah.
we were in Paderborn, so I joined Senelager Golf Club, the old Army Golf Club in Germany. And I don't know if you've ever played Senelager, but
I have, yeah, yeah.
It's a very hard course, a very hard
tough,
course.
Yeah. Mm.
You know, so to try and learn to play golf on a course that hard, it's plenty of balls being lost and plenty of swearing, but that's where I try to play golf or try to learn to play golf. Um, I joined there, I became a member there, I managed to get out sort of once a week. The problem is in the army, we call it army golf, where you drive up there, you get out the car, you put the bag on your back, and you're on the first tee, and that was it. You just got out there and whacked it. It was all about having a laugh, and so I didn't really take serious golf up until probably after I retired, which was 2019. I joined a lovely little golf course here called Bedale Golf Club, and I stayed with them for about 3 years, and I loved it. I loved it. Again, it's to me it's very, very similar to being a member of OCF. It's that being a part of something. Joining a golf club gives you that feeling of I belong here. I'm part of this, and that's what it gave me, especially after I'd come back from my injury. I was a little bit lonely, a little bit on my own because A, not only coming back from injury, but B, I'd left the army. My career had finished, 38 years in the army, and all of a sudden it's gone. I didn't have any sort of belonging. So joining a golf club like Bedale really helped me, and getting into a regular routine of playing twice or three times a week was really good.
Did you join Bedale and then you joined OCF? Or is that OC? You have joined OCF?
I think it was the same time. Yeah, it was the same time.
Where did you hear about on course though?
Well, when I was at Battleback, I did the Battleback course at Headley Court. And we were introduced to OCF there, and then from there I contacted Mark and had chats with Mark about OCF. To be honest, I was coming to the end of my. In fact, I think I'd finished my treatment, because when I'd finished my treatment and my recovery, I was upgraded to P7, and I'd still got 18 months left in the army. So they actually sent me down to Nottingham, to Chilwell, to work in a bum job somewhere in the back. I was given the task of looking at closing Chilwell station down and moving the engineer group across to somewhere else. But luckily for me, I knew the commander down there really well, and he allowed me a little bit of slack time with travelling and stuff. And it was really there while I was there, I made contact with Mark and said, "Look, I really want to get involved with OCF," and that's how I got involved. I think my first introduction with OCF was actually, we played a match against the Army, and I'm trying to think where it was.
When was this? 2020?
It might have been 20. Was it 20? No. In fact, no. It might have been 19 actually.
19.
2019. I think it probably was 2019.
Was that down south?
It was down south somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, must be down south.
I was introduced. It was funny because I turned up at this golf club, and in the car park there was this little camper van, and I'm thinking, oh right, camper van, nice little camper van there, because I'm in a mower camper van, and then the camper van door opened, and this guy gets out, and he's got a towel around him and a little wash bag, and he buggers off into the.
I know.
You know who it is, don't you? He's got his dog. He's got his dog with him.
Steve Bigley.
I watched this guy walking, and I'm thinking, cheeky bugger's going in there for a shower. He'd stayed there the night and gone for a shower, and then next thing we all get introduced to each other, And there he is with his dog.
Yeah.
Great guy. Great guy.
Steve Bigley, yeah.
Great guy.
Yeah. Roxy, dog name is Roxy.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's great. Oh, Flinny, where did you hear about on course then? Obviously, you used to play, and then did you come
I
to?
Anthony Lowndes.
Oh,
Anthony Anthony
yeah,
Anthony bought OCF to Cavendish in about 2015, 16.
yeah.
And I didn't know anything about it. And he asked him because he asked me to play in this event against the OCF guys. So I did, and of course afterwards I said, what's all this about? And he told me. I got in touch with Mark again, and I emailed Mark off and told him my details, and I said I'd like to get involved, and I did. And I think the first event, I can't remember the first event I did. It might have been Bredsall Priory or something like that in about 2016. But I found it very helpful because, like Steve touched on earlier, when you leave an organisation like the military, when you've been in it for so long, not as long as Steve, there is a loneliness factor. And when you come back into civilian life, I found it very, very difficult. Steve mentioned, yeah, you join a golf club. I joined Cavendish, been there 20 odd years. But you're trying to mix with guys who, yes, you knew at school, some of them, but the conversation when you sat around that table after a game of golf, I found it very difficult to get involved with. Very, very, very difficult to mix with people who, some of them I grew up with. And I got a little bit withdrawn, I got a little bit within myself. And I did find it very, very difficult to mix with civilians.
Civvies.
For want of a better word. And when Anthony introduced me to OCF, I thought, that might be great. And as the first event I went to, I just felt my whole mood and my whole attitude change towards life, I suppose, because I'm now mixing with people who are just like me, who have been in the military, who are feeling the same things as I'm feeling, and OCF give you so much of that back. Because I can walk into a room now full of the OCF guys, especially like Steve, and I've made friends in OCF now who I know will be friends for life. And when you've met a good friend, because I won't see Steve for 6-8 months. Yet as soon as I walk up to him, next time I see him, it's like we've never been away. And I give him a big hug. And I've only known him for 4 years.
Yeah.
And they're friends for life. And this is what civilians can't get their heads around. This is why you make certain friends within different friends in the military. You won't make them sort of friends in civics, I don't think. And it's brought so much back to my life. I can't wait to get on an OCF event to have that military atmosphere back again. It's wonderful, wonderful. It really is. And what John's done for us all is just amazing, and yourself as well, Jim. So thank you.
Definitely. I think we always talk about it because injury is one thing. It's every injury is different. I would say, and then the main thing is we're on the same boat. I think when you're injured, you get a dip, and then you come back again, and you get dip. So it's every movement is same with us. From Neil, Steve, me, it's the same thing. And you can play golf anywhere. You get mates and everything. But when you go into OCF event, that's totally different. That's totally. It's totally different. You can play golf anywhere, I say, but
the banter's half of it. You can walk into a room full of these OCF guys, and the banter's like walking into the mess again, and it's just great. Even if you throw something at you, or take the mick, it doesn't matter. Absolutely,
just amazing. It's like we always talk about it, saying the 4 hours you spend with the OCF guys, you can't. I always go to combat stress to the new people saying about you should come to the event and try this golf, and people say what I'm gonna achieve. I say if you come and do that 4 hours with us and go back, then you realize what you're missing, kind of thing. Then you will send an email saying, "Gee, when can I get back?" Or Mark, when can I get back? So these kind of stuff. So yeah, obviously OCF's done.
And it might well be, and I get involved in the in the introduction events at Romanby up here, and they are brilliant. You know, it might well be that the individual actually, do you know what? I don't really like golf,
Yeah.
but I do like this togetherness.
Yeah.
I do like this getting everyone together and meeting.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to come again. Not so much for the golf, but you know, for the camaraderie, for the getting together.
Definitely, yeah.
And I think when you look across OCF and look at the people that the beneficiaries that do attend, I think you've got a distinct two parts to it. You've got those that want to come for the camaraderie, but actually also want to really improve their golf.
Yeah.
But you've also got the others that, you know, they come and play the golf, but they're more interested in the getting together and
Definitely. That's why, you know, it's just a lot of people come down.
and there's nothing wrong with that. That's healthy. So
No,
Yeah.
definitely right. You know, it's for rehab kind of things that everyone's like Neil said, you know, it's just coming to that event and this banter you get, like, you know,
yeah,
it's different. You won't get it, like, you know, you just meet them after, well, obviously the season ends in September, October. You don't meet them till next year. Maybe the season starts May, June, July. And when you see them on that, like, you know, after 8, 9 months, you still same, you know, you just start with that, you know,
Yeah,
laugh and
yeah.
that joke.
Like you've never been away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
One of the things I really enjoy now at OCF events, and I spoke to Mark about this because I've had so much from OCF now. You like to give something back. And one of the things I really enjoy is getting to an event and say a new golfer or a high handicap golfer or a non-golfer or something and helping them with the game.
Yeah.
I love that. You know,
Yeah.
if someone can't chip, I love getting around the green and saying, "No, don't do this, do this, do this." And that to me, it's sometimes a highlight of my weekend is, you know, is getting to a golfer who can't do something, and then I'll pass on my experience, say, "Well, just try this, try this." And when at the end of the weekend or whatever, end of 2 days, he's chipping well or he's doing this well. Thumbs up from me. I just love that. And it really, I really do enjoy that stuff.
Yeah, it just I think yeah, that's the thing. That's what I was about to ask. Because you've been on their face, you I won't say you recovered, because obviously you weren't recovered from an injury because you got mental health and everything. But what you still coming to the OCF events now, both of you. Um, can you give me one reason why? Obviously, we talked about banter and everything, you know. But you what you get from that on course event? You give, obviously you said, Neil, you give your experience to the young guys, you know, coming through. But what if you don't come to the OCF? What you gonna miss?
Camaraderie and friendship.
yeah, yeah,
Golf is secondary.
Hmm.
You know, from that, although the golf is absolutely fantastic, but come together, the camaraderie and friendship, and let's put some golf on the end of that. Brilliant.
Yeah.
and being amongst like-minded people, being amongst people that understand your way of thinking and your, you know, the banter is all good, and you know, and hey, you know,
Yeah.
you get the
We
shit
get a bit,
ripped,
don't we, Steve?
you get the shit ripped out
Yeah.
of you now and
Yeah.
again, but that's all part and parcel of it. And
Being some of the older gents, we tend to get the piss ripped a bit more, don't we, Steve?
yeah, but hey, that's part and parcel of it. Yeah,
You know, that's the good thing about OCF event. I'll always say, you know, when you see even a new guy, you don't ask him about their injury or anything. We just ask him about, you know, how you doing and everything, you
yeah,
know.
exactly.
And plus, what's your handicap, where you play, kind of. You never, you know, ask about their injury and how you feeling and everything. That's the good thing about OCF, because we are like-minded people. Everyone knows, like, we're on the same boat, so we just need to help each other.
One
But I
thing I
think
noticed actually, and I'll not mention any names. I was playing with somebody at where was it? It was the OCF Championships at where did it Warwickshire.
yeah,
Warwickshire. I'll not mention any names, but it was the first time I played with this fella. Lovely, lovely guy, great guy. And we're walking up a fairway, and I didn't really know him, but he actually starts opening up to me about his injuries and where he's struggling. I don't just met this guy. You know, I've met him about 6 holes ago. And he starts opening up to me and telling me about his problems and all that. And we're walking up fairways and we're helping each other. I think I was helping him more than him, but just general chat about all sorts of awfully nonsense. But he's telling me about how he's struggling, and I was actually trying to help him with things which he could do to overcome these problems he's got, bless him. And I still see him quite a bit now, but it was the fact that he'd opened up to me in the middle of this fairway, in the middle of Warwickshire. I've known him about an hour.
Yeah.
And that to me was brilliant, that he felt he could do that. You know what I mean? It was quite moving, that was.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot.
Yes.
You'll talk about your issues with the guys when you're walking around smacking a golf ball at.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. Yeah. Really, really good.
I think you're right. I think that they do say that if if you've got problems and you've got issues on your mind or whatever, 9 times out of 10 they're going to speak to a stranger than they are going to speak to somebody they know. And I think that is more apparent as well with OCF. I've had deep conversations with people in the back of a golf clubhouse, in the corner somewhere. That again I've not really known, but
Yeah.
Let's have a little chat. And I think my injury is now gone. I'm well clear of cancer. My personal issues I think have gone, and I have thought hard about when is the right time for me to leave OCF, because a little bit of me thinks you're a little bit of a fraud now because there's nothing wrong with you. But then the other side of me thinks, but actually, I think I've got something to give back to these individuals that come. And I'm quite happy to sit down with these individuals and have a good long chat with them and, try and point them in the right direction if they want that, or just a listening ear. I'm more than happy to do that. Whether that be their own personal issues or whether that be golf. I'm not saying that I'm great at golf, but I can probably help some at golf. But I think I've got things to give back to OCF.
Agree. Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing it. You've done quite a lot, Steve, for on course anyway, and Flynn. I got 2 more topics now. So one is Simpson Cup.
Hey.
You both have done Simpson Cup. Tell me about your experience. I don't want to be long kind of thing, but short experience. And what you want to say to the guys who are coming through who would like to experience Simpson Cup.
I'll let Neil can go ahead because he's the veteran at this.
Simpson Cup, wow. Highlight of your golfing career from a military point of view, a military personnel. Definitely the highlight of your golfing career. To go out in the Simpson Cup and represent Team GB against the Americans, whether it's here or abroad, it's very hard to describe how proud it makes you feel to stand there with those other 12, 13 guys and represent your country at the end of the day. Yeah. I don't think you'll get a prouder moment from a golfing point of view, personal point of view. There's obviously children born and things like that. It's on a different sort of achievement level, but still amazing. And to me, the trying to get to that at the Simpson Cup, it should be every OCF member's goal. Regardless of what handicap you are now, whether you're 24, whether you're 2, go for the, try and get your handicap down from 24 to 18 so you can go for the qualifying. Because just to experience this whole Simpson Cup is life changing. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. I'm a bit like Steve. You ask yourself, when is it time to step down? But you feel that proud and we're that lucky to be involved with this Simpson Cup. It's very hard to try and let go because you don't want to lose that feeling of being a Simpson Cup player because it's just amazing, utterly amazing. I think of all the ones I've been on, and I've done a few now, they've all been utterly amazing. Bolter's Roll was probably one I enjoyed, probably the most of everything because the whole package of Bolter's Roll was just amazing. The setup, everything about Bolter's Roll was great. And Steve was there as well, which was nice. But every single one of them has been fantastic. Shinnecock last year was just unbelievable. Toughest golf course I ever played, ever likely to play. But again, the whole experience was just utterly amazing. And that's what it is, the Simpson Cup. And what John's done for that. Great to see him being awarded the medal from the Americans as well last
Yeah,
year.
looks great.
You know,
Yeah,
being there just to witness that in itself was fantastic.
great.
Absolutely fine with his family there.
Yeah.
Was brilliant. Yeah,
Mm.
very very good.
Yes.
Yeah.
You, Steve, is the same?
I fully endorse what Neil said about, the Simpson Cup should be the goal that every OCF beneficiary sets his sights to. No matter what handicap you are, like you say, if you're a 24 handicap and to get to the first qualifier, you need to be an 18 handicap, then there's your goal straight away. There's your first goal. And it might take you 2 years to do that, but there's your goal. And then your goal beyond that is getting through the qualifiers and being able to go and represent Team GB. But the experience I had in Baltusrol was just unbelievable, and not just the physical playing of the golf. It was the whole week, the pomp and ceremony.
Yeah.
The opening ceremony. You're stood there in a blazer along with your teammates, and you're being introduced. You stand up, and your name's being called, and you're introduced to the whole crowd, and then you're dining. You're sat in a dinner room with some really high important dignitaries there. The whole thing is just amazing. I mean, Baltusrol, we were treated like kings. It was unbelievable,
Fabulous.
unbelievable. And I would just emphasise, it should be the goal for every OCF beneficiary. Get yourself qualified for the Simpson Cup, because it's an experience that you'll just never forget. Never.
Yeah, that's great.
And again, like Neil said, what John Simpson does for the charity and organising these events, it's amazing.
Yeah.
The golf courses that they get to,
Yeah.
the arrangements that are all put in place. It's a lot of it's a lot of background work. It's a lot of turn and throwing on John's case, I know, but putting that whole package together is just unbelievable. Really good.
I've been fortunate enough to do that as well last year with Sinnock Hills,
Yeah,
but
it's amazing, isn't it?
it's plenty. But yeah, I think the funny side is I enjoyed really Washington DC.
That was
Movie.
good. Yeah,
Yeah, it was. It was
amazing. That
great.
was,
Yeah, just walking around with Chris Flynn, Carl Hopkins, who else was there? It was so fun. It was
we
so
got lost, which was a bit embarrassing for 5 ex-soldiers.
I think it was Chris Patterson's fault.
Definitely Chris's fault. Yeah, yeah.
And yeah. Okay, I've got one more last question to both of you. So think about your highest point since you joined the OCF kind of thing, not the Simpson Cup. When you start to join OCF till now, what's your highest point kind of thing where you think, okay, I've achieved something now,
Apart from Simpson Cup.
apart from Simpson Cup?
Wow. Um, Good question.
Hmm.
I think making the friends I've made through OCF is very important to me. Some very, very good friends. That to me is probably is up there with anything I've done with OCF. Is the people I've met, the friends I've made, but also the knowledge I've passed on to other OCF members through my experience in golf.
Thank you, Noel.
Yeah, it is a good question. I'm thinking more on lines of. So I've done a couple of Skipton events,
Hmm.
and going to events like Skipton, and I've done a couple of other events where it's been.
You're blacking out, Steve. What you done?
It's
You
live.
turn the lights off. You paid your bill.
You
Yeah,
still there?
yeah,
Well,
go on.
that's the weather. Yeah, it's so when you're at one of these events and you're listening to people talk about OCF and talk about why they're involved and why they want to raise money for OCF, it's quite humbling. It's I like being involved in them events. I like being a part of the events and to hear people talk about about the military, the veterans, and Dave Rouse down at Skipton. He's very, very good at what he does there and how he delivers it. And I mean, at one event at Skipton, I was asked to stand up at the end and say a big thank you on behalf of John. And I said a few words, and then everybody just stood up and started clapping, and I'm like, Jesus, and being a part of that and and watching people's reaction is really quite humbling. Yeah, really good. I like being involved in those events. But then I could also say that On Course to the Open was a great event. I really enjoyed doing that.
People who don't know.
From the start of the planning.
Yeah.
I didn't like to cycle on that. I didn't enjoy that at all.
Yeah. He must have done it.
Yeah, but no, nobody saw that 1930s push bike you were on.
Never you mind about that push bike.
How many miles you did, Flynn?
Yeah, I can't remember. I was in too much
3
pain.
miles?
No, I think it was about 15. I'm sure it was.
I remember.
More, can't remember.
I remember.
I had the fastest splits of anybody in my 1930s rally bike. I'll tell you.
I remember him turning up in the car park of the golf club, G, and I'm looking at him going, what's that you riding?
Nothing wrong with that bike.
No, that was
funny thing was what really annoying about that was Mark Scorer stood at the top of the hill. There was a hill right at the end going up to not Witchwood, where was the other one? Portal.
Yeah.
And the hill was like this. And I'm blowing out my backside coming up the hill. And the only person I can see stood at the top laughing his head off was Mark Scorer. Absolute
brilliant.
So that was quite good fun, and thank you to Steve and his teammates, who's done that on Coast Open. That was amazing. That was, Um, uh, just last thing before you guys, before you guys go. So what have you learned about yourself after injury through playing golf? What have you learned?
I have learned that it's a lot easier to make new friends in civilian life.
I think the one thing I learned going through my recovery, and as I was going through that, and again, like I say, it was part of the transition from military to civilian as well. A few hiccups along the way, being lonely, being despondent, but I think I've learned that yesterday's gone. It's out of the way. It's done. Tomorrow is something to look forward to, and today is the here and now. You've got to get on with it. So what's happened in the past, I think I lingered quite a lot in the fact that you're diagnosed with cancer and straight away you say that big word, and it's quite scary. And I was thinking too much about the past rather than looking ahead to the future. So the big takeaway I got is, forget about yesterday. It's done.
Yeah.
Look forward.
It's made me a lot more positive. Gives you more positive sort of what's the word? More positive outlook at life. Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh, that's great. Okay, guys, thank you very much, especially both of you, for coming up and sharing your story. It was great. It was good fun. I think we got nearly an hour. Yeah, that was a good timing as well. And yeah, we will look forward to put that on our YouTube or our social media, and then you can have a look on it, and then we'll see how it looks.
Make sure you do any editing, G.
Yeah, I'll try my best.
I didn't swear, did I?
No.
No, I don't think you did, Steve, which is the first for you.
Yeah.
Just looking forward to the program coming up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah,
Can't
we've got
wait.
Cavendish booked in already, so that's all ready to go.
Okay. All right, guys. I'm just gonna stop this recording.